All right, good weekend for our team. I thought the crowd was great. Obviously playing a really good opponent, and it's always tricky coming out of a bye too. I think especially earlier in the year, and I thought our guys did a good job those 2 weeks of practicing and doing things with intent and continuing to grow as a team. And that first night was a heck of a hockey game. I thought our guys did a great job staying with it, and big time play by Tommy and Shouts there to finish the game off. And then I thought we were better on Saturday than we were on Friday for sure. I thought we got to our game right off the bat, and ton of respect for Penn State. Obviously, they're a heck of a hockey team. They're missing, obviously they're one of their top players there too. So I think those games will be different when we go out there. And now we, starting to prepare for Notre Dame, who has a new coaching staff there, and they're going to do a heck of a job. And they've played some really good hockey this year. And obviously they went out on the road and played a tough Minnesota team. But I think for us, we're going to focus on us. And this is be our first Big Ten road series as a group, right? And so it's tough to have success on the road, and that's our challenge.
You gave at the end of last. No mics? Yeah, you're good. Oh, okay. End of last season, you gave praise to Jeff Jackson and what he had built over the years, but the new guy, Brock Shane, what's he like?
Oh, I think he's going to do a good job. Yeah, I know Brock a little bit. My older brother actually was a volunteer assistant at Notre Dame before Brock was, so I've known him a while. When I was coaching at the national team, he was coaching the Chicago Steel, did a heck of a job there, and I think they're going to do a really good. It's a really proud program, and I think the foundation's set there from what Jeff established and his staff there, and obviously Brock worked under him for a year, so obviously I'm sure he took advantage of learning from Jeff, right? You got an unbelievable mentor there, and but yeah, it's a great university, a great program, and just like all the teams in the Big Ten, it's super competitive, and but I think their staff's going to do a great job.
What are the challenges that we don't see of being a first-year coaching in the NCAA?
I think every spot's different, right? Depends where you start at, depends where you're coming from, right? I think I can only speak for my challenges, right? I wasn't in the college game even before, like the 4 years I was doing hockey ops, right? So it was a blessing because you're a little bit the head coach's right-hand man, so you see some of the stuff outside of hockey, and there's budget stuff and alumni stuff and fundraising stuff. You get some experience with that. But for me, my biggest challenge was I wasn't in the college game, and that's why when we were putting your staff together, you got to make sure you got guys that are in the college game that can help you hit the ground running. So I felt like that was the biggest challenge for me, is just not being in it.
Speaking of that, we just talked to Jared for a little bit, and he was talking about the initial hiring process. Do you ever go back to that and just think how, you've given them a lot of praise, your staff throughout time, how grateful you are for the way it came together?
No, I'm super fortunate, right? I've said it before. I think I get way too much credit for what's gone on here. We got an unbelievable staff, and I think you get an opportunity like this, right? And so you got to take a deep breath, and because those hires didn't happen right off the bat. I think people forget about that. It might have been a month or so by the time, and you get one opportunity to do it and do it the right way. And again, I knew enough to you got to hire people that cover your weaknesses, right? And I certainly have plenty of them, and but I think these guys, when I called around, their names kept coming up, right? And they didn't apply, and I give them credit for coming. I think when you look at the spot that UMass was at, when for D-Mike to say, hey, I'm leaving there. They had won the national championship. They had started, they were a last place team, won the national championship, lost in the finals. To move your family and have a belief in, and I think that shows you the vision of everyone kind of thinks of Michigan State hockey, and Townsley the same way, right? It just got into Clarkson there, and they had flipped it, and they're a tournament team. So I do reflect on that quite a bit, and I think when you get an opportunity like this, having a little bit of patience. And then not just hiring people that or you're comfortable with, if that is the best person for the job. But I really think Michigan State is a spot where you got to hire the best people.
You said in your initial conversation that he didn't know that you were sort of interviewing him, and he got off the phone, and his wife said he's going to offer you a job, and you called back a few hours. Do you remember on your end of that initial conversation, were you already thinking this is, as you listen to him, this?
Yeah, I think you do your homework. I don't think it's super complicated being a hockey coach, right? And so. You got to have people you trust, right? So I'd done a ton of homework on, his character, And, someone, because when you're taking over, right, that's not going to be super smooth. There's going to be some tough moments for sure. And at the end of the day, we can disagree on things in the coach's room. And I want that. I want people that aren't just yes men, but I also, that stays in the room, right? And then everyone's on the same page. So you got to make sure you're doing your homework on that. So I called around, and everyone I spoke to, couldn't say enough good things about him. And, but so I was pretty convinced once I heard from people I trust that, hey, this is the guy you need to hire.
I know the answer to this, and you'll hate the question, but how do you overlook the letdown going into playing a team that is not highly ranked?
Well, I think they're a really good team. I think our conference is tough, and they got a transition going on for one, and our guys know that. We respect everyone we play, and again, we do our homework on our opponents, and we're going to be studied up, but it's about us, right? And we got to go out and try to play the best we can play and play our brand of hockey, and that's been our mindset for 3.5 years here, right? So that's not going to change, and our guys have done a great job. We got great leadership. The guys have bought into continuing to do it our way and try to make our next game better than our last one.
Is it hard to get 18-year-old kids to buy into that day in, day out?
Well, I think that's your number one job as a coach, right? Is you gotta. I mean, obviously there's the X's and O's and all this different stuff, but I mean, trying to make it a team, right? And I think it goes back to recruiting and how you recruit and identifying the right families, the right players that are into this type of mindset, right? Not everyone is, right? We live in a world where it's pretty easy to fall in love with yourself and it's about you, and that's where we play a team sport. It's not about you, it's about the team. And so we try to make sure we weed out, families that maybe aren't into that and try to get the right families.
I know age isn't always everything with maturity, but the third line is 3 freshmen, and there were a few plays they made, quick changes, close support. Like some of the things they did were very mature, I thought, in the way they played. And I'm curious, like when you have young guys and that sort of manifests quickly, how does that exactly happen? Do they come in with that, or is that like the process of training camp? How do you get them to sort of that mature point?
Well, I think it's targeting kids that are into that, right, or players that are into that, and families that are into that of being about the team, and if it's you can tell pretty quick on a visit if it's about the team or it's about you, and so I think that part and doing our homework and making sure, and I'm not perfect, but I think a lot of my background's been with younger players, right? I mean, I spent 4 years coaching at Shattuck. I coached U.S. national team. So I'm a little bit used to being around younger players, and I truly believe that you get the right players. They want to play winning hockey. Like they want to do it the right way, maybe whether they know it or not at the time or how to do it. We got to help them grow in that. But and I think rewarding good behavior of guys doing things the right way, right? So you can do that throughout how you're doing video and whether you're praise on different things early in the season. But those guys have done a great job, right? And I think they're going to keep getting better, and they got to keep getting better. We're going to need them to.
You've always been a team-first guy, but where do you feel like you've grown as a coach just within the last 4 years since you got hired here?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're always growing, right? And I consider myself a growing coach. Like I don't think I think I got to keep getting better, no different than our guys. And I think what I've learned over time is patience is. I probably get it from my dad, but development, and not only individually but a team, it takes time, right? And I think that's helped reinforce it. That since I've been here is just making sure you try to do it right every day and try to teach as much as you can and not get discouraged. And I think that's a big one for me. Is probably I wasn't good as a player and try to do a better job as a coach. Right? It's okay to be disappointed, but make sure you're never discouraged. Right? You can always improve. You can always get better, and there's always the next day. And but I think I'm in all areas I'm growing. That's why you want a great staff, right? You need to surround yourself with people that can help you keep growing, and I feel like we have that here.
I don't know how well you know Duncan Keith, but did you watch that last night? And what's it like for a Spartan to go in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, Dunks is great. I played with him. I was the year I sat out was his last year here, right? So I had transferred here, so got to know him, stayed in contact with him. Anytime we played him when I was working in the league, we talk. I've spoke with him here and text with him. He's super excited about the program and supportive. And gosh, when you talk about looking at alums. Top 100 players all time in the NHL. You look at some of the guys that aren't on that list, right? There's really good players, and and he was a guy that was, a team guy, do it the right way guy, super committed guy. And, I think a lot of the things that I want our guys to be as players and people, Duncan represents. I mean, I remember how committed he was. That was like so obvious when I got here as a player, like his commitment level to being an elite player. And it took him some time for sure, right? And that's that position a little bit, but what an honor, and yeah, we're super proud of him. Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
That's cool.
Last one.
When you talk about,
Go ahead.
when you talk about sort of not letting things be discouraged as a coach, and you mentioned as a player maybe there were difficulties with that. What were those moments that were difficult, that were discouraging, that you had to learn?
From a player or coach? Oh, well, I think I was probably immature as a player, you know what I mean? I think that I was super competitive and, maybe judging yourself off of production, right? I was never a guy that produced a ton of points, but that side of it, maybe not playing in the spots you want to play in, and I think that's helped me as a coach, right? You got a little bit of empathy to understand, hey, I understand those feelings you're having, but I also, don't want those guys to have some of maybe, I don't want to say they're regrets, but, you can, it's one thing to be competitive, but you got to stay positive, and I think that's helped me as a coach, understanding the kind of the feelings that maybe some of the guys have of being out of the lineup or down in the lineup, and trying to find a way to make sure, hey, it's focus on things you can control, keep getting better. You can add value to this team even if you're not playing.